Hey everyone, welcome to week 4. I hope you survived the crazy week we had last week. Thankfully, as an online class, we push on. We don't have snow days. So everyone looks like you're doing great. Almost everybody's caught up to date. Remember my late work policy. If you are missing a lab, that can be made up late with some penalties though. So check out my late work policy from the course syllabus if you forgot what those are. Basically, you can submit it this next week with some penalties, and I recommend you do the lab, get partial credit. It's better than no credit. And we've got that missing lab policy in terms of if you miss so many labs, it will affect your final grade. So just keep those things in mind. All right, you did your first exam this past week. Every student in the class took it, which is awesome. I have to tell you guys, I think you're my first class ever to have every student complete the first exam. So awesome. And then guess what, guys? On top of that, the class average was a 94 on the exam. You guys are doing awesome. I'm really proud of you. I hope you're enjoying the class. I'm really enjoying you guys. All right, let's see what we got on our plates for week 4. Let's close up shop on week 3, and looks we got a long list to go this week. So we're going to be covering chapter 3. You can read some information about the full week here in terms of objectives and things. Then you've got a short video introducing you to chapter 3. I hope you're watching these videos. They're really short, just a couple of minutes, but I think they're really interesting. They're made by the publisher of the book, just kind of as an intro to get your interest in what you're about to read in chapter 3. Or any of the chapters. Here's the PowerPoint for those that like the PowerPoints. I know some of you like that. Then when you're ready, go in and access your Smart Book and go through the Learn Smart module. Looks like everyone's doing that. So again, very well done. We've got Lab 4 this week, Lab Techniques. I'll be honest, guys, this one is going to take a while. Nothing that's terribly difficult. You're going to be taking the mass of certain things, volume of certain things. You're going to be calculating density. It'll teach you about that. And then the only thing I find students struggle with sometimes is the last part of the lab, which is a dilution. And so let me open up the lab real quick here and just kind of show you a couple things. I can't emphasize enough as I'm going through here, you need to be reading all the instructions in the lab, following them, don't skip around. Again, this one I know is a little lengthy, so plan accordingly. Maybe do a little bit each day, can't hurt to do that. So in the first part, length, temperature, and mass, those things are pretty straightforward and easy. In exercise 2, you'll be recording volume, and there's a couple of different ways we record volume. And then density. Density is mass divided by volume. So when you know the mass, for instance, let's say something has or let's say you figured out for water, mass, take a sample, you have 10 milliliters of water and it has a mass of 10 grams. Well, density is mass, 10 grams, divided by volume, 10 milliliters, which equals a density of 1 gram per milliliter for water. Just as an example. And then where I find students struggle the most with is exercise 3. You're going to be making a sugar water solution. You need to follow these instructions very, very carefully. Again, I'm not going to read through it all. You guys can do that. Here's your percent mass volume. This is the concentration unit we're going to use in this particular lab. So the mass of sugar divided by the total volume of your solution that it has you make times 100. And then you're going to be taking some of that original solution out, making dilutions, doing different things. Again, in science, it's really important that you have an attention to detail. So part of that is reading and following every single instruction. So down here, when you start diluting things, we have this equation, C1 times V1 equals C2 times V2. C1, as you can see, your initial concentration. V1 is how much volume, how much did you take of that initial concentration out to create your new volume, which should be 25 mils for all of them. And then finally you calculate C2, what's the new concentration? Okay, you're going to record things, calculate new concentrations, and then finally you're going to make a graph. And you're going to upload that into the lab itself. All right, answer some questions. Again, just a big warning on this last part. Follow the instructions. Read the exploration. I kind of skipped through that back here. Here's solution concentration. Go through each part of the exploration. If you want to divide it, in terms of, the experimentation was 3 different parts primarily: the length, temperature, mass. If you want to do that first, maybe read through the first, I don't know, handful of the exploration, then do that experimentation. Then the second part of the experiment is volume and density. So maybe come back and then do volume through density, review those, explore those, then do the experiment. And then finally concentration, solution, and dilution. Down here, solution, and then sig figs and percent error I would review before you did anything at all. So just a heads up again, it's only that last part can be a little confusing. The rest is pretty straightforward. It's just going to take a while. Don't get overwhelmed. Do a little bit at a time. Then when you're ready, there's the Dropbox and our picture this week. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. You're doing great with your pictures too. I don't think I've had to return any labs in the last couple of weeks. Everybody's doing their right picture. Your picture this week, including your sign, should be the flask that contains your sugar solution that you made in exercise 3. So that was exercise 3 is the concentration, dilution, solution, and dilution, and this is the volumetric flask. So once you have your sugar water made, put your sign in your pitcher and take a picture of your flask with the sign. That's what that means. And then what else did we have? We've got our next movie, The Poisoner's Handbook. This is kind of a neat one. I hope you really like it. And then there's our Dropbox. This is only our second movie. A couple of common mistakes I saw. And again, just to reiterate the instructions, make sure your summary focuses on not only a summary of the movie, but why. Why did I pick this movie? How does it apply to our class? This one's a lot about chemistry, so it's kind of obvious, but give some detail. Don't just give me one sentence. Well, this was about chemistry and our class is chemistry. So, give me some detail of that. But more importantly, make sure, again, you're writing 1 full page to your summaries. And that does not include title or anything else, just the body of the essay. And that's really all you have to do. As I said at the beginning of the class, this isn't a Comp and Lit class. I'm not worried about proper citations, title pages, any of that. If you want to, some of you did, that's great, but you don't have to. These are the basic requirements. And guys, then that's it. Chapter 3, lab number 4, movie number 2, and if you have any questions, as always, you can post them on our discussion board or you can reach out to me. Looks like we're having the big thaw this week, but I hear it's supposed to get cold again, so hopefully not as bad as last week. So stay warm. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.